Welcome back to our Homestead Odyssey. We are in the kitchen today and we are making fruit leather. So on my last grocery trip that I took, they had strawberries on sale. And they had these $1 off coupons on several of the strawberries. So I picked up about 3 or 4 containers of strawberries and I let the kids kind of eat what they wanted. And once they started getting a little bit too soft for my kids, but not moldy, because you don't want moldy strawberries. Now that they're a little bit too soft for them, or some have squishy parts that they don't like, we are going to be turning them into fruit leather. And the other thing my store had on clearance was this probiotic yogurt, and my kids really like fruit and yogurt fruit leathers that are homemade. I feel like they're a little healthier because I'm making them at home. I know what's going into them. They're pretty easy to make, and when you get the fruit and yogurt on sale, then it ends up being a lot cheaper. We're going to start out with washing and cutting up our strawberries, and then I'm going to see what other fruit I have around the house, because I don't think I have quite enough strawberries. Plus I like to do a mixture of different kinds of fruits because it kind of sneaks in fruits that some of my kids don't necessarily like but are good for them. So let's get started. So some of these strawberries are still at a stage where like my kids would eat them. Like this one, my kids would totally eat that, and this one. But I wanted to have enough strawberries for the fruit leather. But this is kind of the example of what my kids wouldn't eat. It's a beautiful red strawberry. It doesn't have any major soft spots, but it is a little bit softer than kind of like these firmer ones. And so a couple of my picky eaters would not really want to eat this, but it is perfect for making fruit leather. None of these strawberries have mold on them, so you know they were already $1 off at the store, and then to get $1 off coupon, $2 off strawberries, that's perfect for making fruit leather. So I cut the tops off of my strawberries. I saved those tops in another bowl for my chickens because they love those, and then my large blender has decided to die on me, and so I have a smaller blender that I'll show you in a little bit. It has a harder time chopping up the fruit, so I just kind of quarter the strawberries just to make it a little easier on that small blender. Okay, I have all my strawberries chopped up, so I'm going to grab my blender. Now a large blender would be better for this, but my large blender is not working, so we are going to just have to do small batches in this small blender. It's kind of like a Magic Bullet, but it's an off-brand. I have a large glass dish that I'm going to pour the different batches into, and it's good to have one that has a pour spout because we're going to be pouring this into the dehydrator trays after this. So for each batch, I'm going to add a little bit of water. It helps the blender work better at blending it up. You could add apple juice or grape juice to this to just kind of add a sweetness or a different flavor factor to it. I don't have either, so we're just going to add a little bit of water to it. All the strawberries are now blended. Normally I would add other fresh fruits, but I didn't really have a lot of other ones. So to kind of add a little bit more volume to what we have here so I can make more fruit leather, I'm going to be using applesauce that we made last fall. And so I'm gonna scoop that in there, and then we're gonna add the yogurt in. Okay, so we've got our applesauce added in. Now we're going to add in our yogurt. So if you're adding applesauce, you want to kind of keep an eye on, does it have sugar added, does it not? Mine doesn't, and my yogurt is a plain yogurt, so it doesn't have vanilla or quite as much sugar. It's going to have some sugar, but normally I'll add a little sweetener to this, normally honey, but I will typically add that when I blend it to better mix it in. Sometimes I will add a little bit of regular sugar, but I have that xylitol left over after making our homemade toothpaste, which I will put a link above to that video where I show how we make our toothpaste. And in that video I talk about how xylitol is actually better for your teeth. It's a natural sweetener, but it works on stopping the bacteria that's growing in your mouth. So I think this time I'm going to try adding xylitol to our fruit leather. Just because if I'm gonna add a sweetener, why not try something that's supposed to be a little better for your teeth? Okay, I'm going to start out with just a 1/4 cup of xylitol. It's pretty sweet, and this is a pretty big container, but we're gonna mix this in, and then I'm gonna taste it and see how it tastes. Now, when you dehydrate things, because the moisture in it is leaving what you're dehydrating, the sweetener or the sugars condense in it, and so it will be a little sweeter than what the fruit will taste like at this point, but tasting it will at least give you some kind of idea. If it's super sour or super tart, you can add a little bit more. You just want to be careful not to make it super sugary sweet. Fruit has sugar in it, so there will be some sweetness from that. Typically if I add like bananas, then it's quite a bit sweeter, or pears, and certain kinds of apples are a bit sweeter. We've done fruit leathers with all those different ones. We just don't have that available today. We do have the applesauce, but that applesauce is a little bit tart from what we made in the past. And other fruits that we do also like in fruit leather are kiwis. Pineapple is really yummy to do like a pineapple mix with other fruits. Strawberries, bananas, apples. We do like blackberries and raspberries, but my kids do not love the seeds. So a lot of times I will blend those up, and then I will put just the berries through a sieve. Strawberries, they don't mind the seeds in those. They're a little smaller and not quite as many, but just for like raspberries and blackberries, they don't quite love those. So I'm gonna give this a try. That's pretty good. I think I'm gonna add just a little bit more, not quite a whole another 1/4 of a cup, a little bit less than that. And then I think I should. I've shown you our dehydrator in the past when we made our video about making our herbal goat dewormer cookies, which I'll put a link above for that. When we made those, we just put the cookies straight on the tray, but when you make fruit leather, you need what's called fruit leather trays. And they're just kind of these plastic circles, and you put them on. And I would recommend do not dishwasher these. We did, and some of them have become warped over the years, but they still work. You just have to be careful with filling them because certain spots are warped. We also have found that you have to spray the trays or your fruit leather is not going to come off, which I don't love having to add oil to it, but if it means I get the fruit leather off, it means I get the fruit leather off. Now this is really heavy, this is really heavy because it's full, so I just got a measuring cup. I'm just going to use that to measure on. I'm just going to use this measuring cup to ladle on the fruit leather, and you can see some spots where it didn't get 100% mixed in. My kids aren't too picky. If your kids are, you may have to send the entire batch through a blender with the yogurt as well to make sure all the spots are broken up, but my kids are typically okay with it. the trays are all filled, and I do have a decent amount left over. That's one thing that I do wish we had more of, were more of the fruit leather trays. We need to purchase some more. You can buy more. Okay, so we have this plugged in. It's going. It typically takes overnight to the next day before these are really dry, but I'll check it multiple times today. I will be covering this up and putting it in the fridge, and then when our current fruit leather that is on the dehydrator is done, we'll put this onto it. So I'll have to go back and look at my video, but I'm wondering if I didn't spray this top layer, because as you can see, I can barely get it off. It's ripping off in small chunks, which isn't the most beautiful, but it still tastes good, so we'll kind of all pick at this today. But this layer I did spray, and you see how it all just peels right off. Okay, so you can see here why spraying it is important, because I can peel off some little strips, but it's not all coming off. I was having a really hard time. I was like, did I not spray this one? So I'll have to look back and see, because I'm guessing I didn't spray this one, because the other two sheets all just peeled off perfectly like this. So how I roll these up is I rip off a section when they peel off nice like this. I rip off a section about this big, about quarters, sometimes thirds, it just depends. And then I start on the shorter end and I just roll it up. And then I've got Tupperware, and you can see these little ones, those are all from the top, and these much bigger ones are from the bottom. And so I'll just stack them in here, put them in the fridge with the lid on it, and then my kids know they can come snack on them throughout the day. Normally a couple trays of these, depending on your family size, will last a couple days. Some people can make them last weeks, but with 8 children in our house, they only last a couple days for us. But it's a good healthy snack. We really enjoy them, and hopefully you guys enjoy them too. If you have a dehydrator and you dehydrate stuff, maybe comment down below, what do you dehydrate? What's one of your favorite things to dehydrate? I probably would say that fruit leather is one of my kids and ours favorite things, and probably the one thing that trumps fruit leather is beef jerky. So those are kind of our two big things that we really like to use this dehydrator for. Is that yummy? Does it taste like strawberry?
If you like our videos, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel. Bye.